In previous videos, and a lot of videos, I've talked about the reasons that you should be in a relationship with a woman. And the reasons are very simple. There's three. You should be in a relationship with a woman for regular sex, domestic comfort and companionship, and children, right? Now, I did these videos about the relationship between a man and a woman, but you see, a man has relationships with all sorts of people, not just women. Yeah, you have relationships with everyone from your boss to your underlings to the garbage man to all kinds of people. And so it's important that in any relationship that you have, you realize, why are you in that particular relationship? What is the point of it? So you're going to find in life that very few relationships are ends in themselves. For the most part, you're in a relationship with different people because they help you to achieve some goal or they are necessary for some reason. Most of the relationships that you have are means to ends. And this is an ugly truth about adult life. It's an ugly truth that people really don't like talking about, and they kind of like pretend that it's not the case, but it's true. You have a boss, whosoever that boss may be, right? And you put up with his shit. Why? Because you're such a great guy? No, because you need the job, you need the money. You're putting up with him for a reason. And in other relationships in your life, even very close personal ones, with the ones with your parents, for instance, or some best buddy or whatnot, you should ask yourself, why are you in this relationship? Don't just say, oh, because I love them. Oh, because they're such a great person. Oh, because he's my friend. No, that's not good enough. That's not good enough at all. And it's an ugly truth. It's ugly to have to make that calculus. But you have to make it. Simple as that. I mean, it would be wonderful if we could drift through life and all of our relationships are ends in themselves. We are friends with people just because we like them. It would be wonderful. But that's not the case. So much of our time is spent with people that we don't particularly care for. And many times we spend an inordinate amount of time with people whom we do not care for, but we have forgotten why we are with them. And so it's sort of like the momentum of the relationship just carries us forward, and we're locked in this in this death grip to a person who we don't really care for and we don't really need. I've told you guys about my relationship with my own man. How my relationship with my old man was just crappy as can be. And what happened was that at one point, it must have been 2002, a little after the World Trade Center thing. I hadn't spoken to my old man in like 4 years. And he called me up. I'd moved back to Chile, and he called me up. And he wanted to talk with me and mend fences, that kind of bullshit. And I was like, fine, let's get together. We had a cup of coffee, and he was on his best behavior. I mean, he was just like really nice. And what happened at the end of that conversation? Well, we strolled back to the apartment where I was staying, and I had a dog, Claire. I've talked about my dog before. And he wanted to see my dog. And all of a sudden, it just struck me like, do I want this man to, hang out with my dog? And more to the point, what's the point of me having a relationship with this man? And it was like a bolt out of the blue. It was just a simple question. Why am I having a relationship with this guy? What's the point of it? What am I getting out of it? And that's why I cut him off. I remember it clear as day. It was this moment. And the weird thing was that he realized it. He realized that was it. I was at the time 34 years old, and I forget exactly the words I said or whatnot, because he wanted to see my dog, and I just had this whole thing that went through my head lightning quick, like, why am I in a relationship with this guy? What's the point of continuing to see him? And I said no. And he knew. It was the weirdest thing. Yeah, he turned on his heels and walked away. And I saw him again in 2005 for my sister's wedding, and that was the last time I ever saw him. And I have no intention of ever seeing him for the rest of my life, because I realized, what exactly was the point of having a relationship with the guy? He made me miserable. He was a bastard. He was an asshole. He made me completely miserable all the time. He elicited from me the worst version of myself. He didn't, inspire me to be a better man. On the contrary, whenever I was around him, I was just pissed off because of all kinds of shit that had been going on for decades before, of course. And so, I just made that calculation. And I've realized over the years that so many of the relationships I've had have been going on because of momentum. There was, in many ways, no real reason to continue them. You'll find that happens a lot, and you'll find the flip side too. There's a lot of times you have to cultivate relationships with people you hate. I mean, you really despise them. You can't stand them, but you have to cultivate these relationships because they advance some interest of yours. And it's all very fine to talk about principles and say that, I should only hang out with the people that I really respect and admire and blah, blah, blah. I should only be friends with men I consider admirable. And that's all good and fine to say that. But the truth of the matter is that you have to make friends with shitty people, with people that you do not like, in order to get what you want out of life, to achieve the things that you've set your mind to. And it's an ugly truth. And there is no man on this earth who can afford the luxury of only being friends with the guys that he really likes. I don't know if you hear it. It's like this buzzsaw of like upstairs. They're like in some other office. They're like building some shit. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but it's been going on and on for like almost a week now, and there's nothing I can do. I've been postponing this video, figuring that this bizarre, well, it stopped now, but this noise of drilling will stop. I don't even know where the hell it's coming from, But anyway, the point I want to make is, you have to analyze every relationship you have. And the relationships that you have, that you realize are ends in themselves, you want to hold on to those relationships, and you want to cultivate them. Those are your real friends. Those are the people that you really enjoy. But for the most part, most of the people in your life are there for a reason. And it pays you to understand what that reason is. Yeah, when I was younger, one of the things that happened to me all the time was that I would confuse a relationship. I would confuse a business relationship with a friendship. That happened to me lots of times. That I didn't understand the relationship I was in. And sometimes these people that I was in a business relationship with would foment this feeling that we were friends. We were never friends. We liked each other, but we were in a relationship in order to achieve business ends. That we were friendly. It's very different from being a friend. And when the chips were down, these business people that I knew who were so friendly, who were like fake friends, right? I thought that they were my friends, but when things went rough for me, they weren't around. Yeah, because they knew, but I didn't, because I was too immature. I thought that they were friends, and they weren't. They were business associates who viewed me as a means for them to achieve their ends, and whom I should have looked at as means for me to achieve my ends. But in my immaturity, I confused our relationship as a friendship, and I failed to deliver. And once they realized that I wasn't going to deliver, I wasn't going to be the means that they needed to achieve their ends, they cut me loose. I never spoke to them again. They just ignored me. They just out the window. Yeah, it happens all the time. It happens to guys who are immature, as I was. Don't fall for that trap. Don't fall for that trap, that mistake. See, when you climb higher in the totem pole, you go up the ladder of success, you're going to find a lot of people, a lot of business associates, people who are using you as a means to achieve their ends. Well, these people are incredibly charming. They're incredibly charming, and they give you this sense, this vibe that you're all very friendly. You get high enough, and you start having these social dinners with these people who are really business associates. And in these social dinners, you have a great dinner someplace at some restaurant, or perhaps the home of one of these business associates of yours. And, you have some drinks, maybe you smoke a little dope, and it seems very friendly, very intimate. But know that it's a fake intimacy. It's a fake friendship. They might like you. They might see you as somebody who's a great guy. And you might see them as somebody who's a great guy. But always know the reason for the relationship. Always know the reason you are in the room with those people. When you know exactly why you're in the room with whomever, when you know what they want and you know what you want, the relationship becomes a lot easier for you because you are able to predict the relationship. You are able to understand the direction and the dynamic of the relationship. And you'll make your life easier. I have to say, retrospectively, I'm astonished at how foolish I was when I was young because I didn't see this. I didn't understand this because I was young. I was immature and there was nobody around to tell me. And that's why I'm telling you. You guys are my Patreon supporters. I don't know, what's the average? I get like 1,500 to 2,000 views on these videos that are strictly for my Patreon supporters, right? And I bless you all and I thank you. But the point, if nobody is here to tell you, I'm here to tell you. You have to understand the reason that you are in the room, the reason for the relationship that you have. Set yourself up the following exercise. With everybody that you know, every single person, no exception, just make like a list. Your boss, your parents, your family, your friends, your this, your that, the other, all the people. Make a list on the a left-hand column. And on the right, start writing out what it is that you get out of that and what they get out of the relationship with you. You see? Ask yourself. Ask yourself, especially with the business relationship or those relationships that are in that gray area, that are not really family or friends, but not really business. It's kind of like in the middle. What are you getting out of it? Is it like, for instance, with like there's a coffee lady downstairs here in my apartment building. I buy a cup of coffee occasionally from her, right? And she's a lovely girl, and we shoot the breeze, and we're just totally friendly, and there's no reason. And what I get out of the relationship, the reason for the relationship, is just a pleasant time and a brief respite from my workday, right? That's what I get out of the relationship with her. Like that. Make an explanation, the reason for every relationship you have. And then start asking yourself, are you living according to that reason? Are you maximizing the relationship? Are you getting the most out of the relationship that you possibly can? And on your part, are you giving the most that you can to the relationship in order for them to get what they want and you to get what you want? Now thinking about this, I know I have multiple thoughts on this. On the one hand, it seems so mercenary to be evaluating relationships with people like this, like making a cost-benefit analysis of the people that you know in your life, are crying out loud. Because I'm also, measure your family members too, and your close friends too. But anyway, on the one hand, I feel kind of icky, and I'm sure that you watching this will feel a little bit icky too. But on the other hand, as a middle-aged man, I wish somebody had told me this. I wish somebody had said, understand, so many of the people in your life do not give a shit about you. They only see you as a means to an end of theirs. And you should do the same. I wish somebody had told me when I was young, when I was 22, 25. And so that's why I'm telling you.